Hi, have you heard of the coronavirus app? What is it? Well, it's a very clever app that enables authorities to track every person that you have come into contact with in the last, say, 24 or 48 hours. And this enables authorities to isolate them so that it prevents the further spread of the virus. Now, let me show you how this app actually works. Imagine a city full of people, and when someone gets the virus, notice how quickly the virus spreads and infects everybody. So, how do you prevent this from happening? Well, it's based on a very old theory called breaking the chain. And so, how do you break the chain? Well, imagine again the same city, and let's just say that somewhere, let's say here, we break the chain. And let me show you what happens when the chain is broken. Someone gets the virus, it spreads all the way, and bang, right there, the chain is broken, and all these people are saved from being infected with the virus. Now, the most important person in this equation is number 5. So, let's say number 5 has the virus tracking app. This is what happens. Now, in every city, we live in our very little own communities. All right. So let's just say that we have, first of all, people who work in the government. All right. And then you've got people that work in the private sector. And then you've got people that are freelancers or part-timers or gig workers. And finally, you've got the students. Now, the danger is that many of us feel that even though the city is very large, if we live within our very little own communities, we really are saved because we don't come into contact with other people in the city. That's where you're wrong. Let me show you how easily people come into contact with someone who has come into contact with someone else. So people from the government and the private sector, well, you know that they do mix with each other. There's a lot of interaction, as you can see. And after a while, with all the mixing, you can't really tell whether they're from the government sector or the private sector. All right? And then this group of people then mix with people who are the gig workers, the people who deliver your food, the people who deliver your parcels, the people who drive you on Grab. And once again, you would see how after a while, you won't really know which community you come from. And finally, somewhere along the way, they mix with students. So this really demonstrates to you how, even though you're living in your very little own community, and no matter how isolated you think you are, the reality is that you will come into contact with people who have come into contact with a whole bunch of other people. So how does this app work? Well, as I've said, it's a very clever little app. So number 5 suspects that he or she has caught the virus. He or she takes out the mobile phone, opens the app, and presses the track button. Beep. And magically, despite the fact that you've got a whole city full of people mixing with each other, the app is able to show you exactly the 12 people that number 5 has come into contact with in the last 48 hours. And you'll be amazed to see that the app shows you exactly that number 5 has come into contact with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, Jack, Queen, And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my message to you is that no matter how isolated you think you are in your little community, please, the reality is that you will come into contact with someone who has come into contact with someone else who may have the virus. So, we are looking forward to this app being used by as many people in the world as possible to help prevent the virus from spreading by simply breaking the chain. Thank you and stay safe.